Have you ever stopped to think about why you post certain photos but not others? Or, why your comments online sometimes feel way bolder than anything you'd actually say out loud? Well, today we're going to peel back the screen and take a good look at the hidden psychology of our online lives. And honestly, what we're about to find might just surprise you. So, let's just dive right in with a big question. Who are you online? Seriously, is that person the real you? A better, more polished version? Or is it someone else entirely? Just hang on to that thought, because the answer is so much more complex and way more fascinating than you probably think.
So there's actually a whole field of science dedicated to this stuff, and it's called cyberpsychology. You can basically think of it as the study of how our minds, our feelings, and our behaviors are being shaped by the technology we use literally every single day. It's not just about computers, it's about the human experience we're all having inside this massive digital world. Okay, so to get started, we first need to meet the main character in this whole online story, and that's the digital version of you. This is what we call your digital self, or sometimes your cyber self. Now, what's really wild here is that phrase, full control. See, unlike in a face-to-face chat where you might stumble over your words or make a weird face, online, you're the director. You are the writer, the editor, and the star of your own show. You get to craft every single message, choose that one perfect photo out of 50, and present a version of yourself to the world that is exactly what you want it to be.
But that brings up a really huge question, right? Why? Why do we put so much time and effort into curating these digital performances?
Well, it's funny. A sociologist named Irving Goffman gave us this incredible metaphor a long time ago, that life is a stage and we're all just actors playing our parts. Cyberpsychology pretty much takes that idea and just updates it for the 21st century. The internet, that's our new global stage. And every profile, every post, every single comment is part of the show. And the goal of this big performance? It's something called impression management. This is the strategic game we are all playing, whether we realize it or not. We're constantly trying to shape how other people see us, trying to craft this very specific and usually very positive image. And let's be honest, trying to manage that 24/7 can also be a huge source of anxiety. So to really get what we're managing, self-discrepancy theory gives us this brilliant little framework. It says we're all juggling three different selves. First, you've got the actual self. That's just you, day to day, warts and all. Then there's your ideal self. That's the person you dream of being. And finally, the ought self. And that's the person you think you should be because of pressure from, society, your family, your friends. The internet basically becomes this giant playground for trying to close the gaps between all three.
So where do you fit in? Well, one idea, the social compensation theory, says that maybe shy or introverted people use the internet to finally let their true, actual self out. But then the social enhancement theory says the exact opposite, that extroverts just use the web as another stage to be, extroverted. And the most interesting part? The research says they're both right. It really just depends on your personality and what you're trying to get out of your time online.
But here's the thing. All of this performing and managing, it comes with real consequences. The online world can be this place of incredible, genuine connection, but it's got a really dark side too. It is a classic double-edged sword. On the positive side, you have what's called the hyper-personal model. Now, this is kind of wild. This theory says that because we can edit and perfect everything we say, online relationships can sometimes feel even more intense and intimate than real-life ones. We kind of fall for the idealized person they're showing us, and they fall for our idealized version, and it creates this powerful, supercharged feedback loop of connection. But then you got the flip side, the online disinhibition effect. The exact same anonymity that lets a shy person open up is what allows for seriously toxic behavior. When there are no immediate social consequences, no one to look you in the eye, our normal psychological brakes just come off. Now, this can be benign, right? Like sharing a deep secret with a stranger. Or it can be toxic, leading to all the horrible rudeness, anger, and harassment we see all the time. And online dating is just the perfect example of this gray area. I mean, we all know deception happens, but it's rarely some massive, elaborate lie. It's usually tiny little exaggerations. A guy adding an inch or two to his height, a woman using a photo that's a few years old. And why? Because everyone knows they might actually meet in person.
It's a strategic performance, right? You're balancing the desire to market your ideal self with just enough truth so you don't get caught later.
All right, so we've talked about how we act online and why. But what's actually happening inside our heads? Let's take a look at how our brains are even trying to handle this constant fire hose of digital information. Okay, first things first, let's just bust a huge myth right now. If you think you're a great multitasker, juggling emails, social media, work all at the same time, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but your brain completely disagrees.
So here's the crucial thing. What feels like multitasking is really something called task switching. Your brain is just jumping from one thing to another, back and forth, really, really fast. And every single time it switches, there's a tiny mental cost. And here's the kicker. The research shows that the people who multitask the most are often the absolute least efficient and the most easily distracted. And because our brains just can't possibly process everything coming at us, we take shortcuts. We use these little mental cheat sheets called heuristics. For example, you might trust a news story just because it's from a famous source. That's reputation. Or you'll believe something is true because your whole feed is talking about it. That's the bandwagon effect. And on the flip side, you'll instantly dismiss a website that's full of typos, right? That's called an expectancy violation. It just feels off. We make these snap judgments in milliseconds without even thinking about it.
Which brings us right back to where we started. After all this performing and switching and all these mental shortcuts, who are you really? Because that line between online and offline is getting blurrier than ever.
Okay, get ready for this, because this is where things get really weird. It's called the Proteus effect. Studies have shown that the way your online avatar looks can actually change your behavior in the real world. For real. If you play a video game with a taller avatar, you might actually negotiate more assertively in real life afterwards. If your avatar is more attractive, you might become more confident and sociable. Our online performance literally starts to bleed into our offline reality.
So I'll just leave you with this question. If our digital self is changing how we act in the real world, and our real world self is constantly busy curating a digital performance, where does the performance actually end, and where does reality begin? The unsettling answer just might be that there's no line at all.